Welcome to Create Up with Will Ennis. That's me. This is a podcast on leveling up both creatively and in life. So I want to thank everyone for tuning in last week for the debut episode of season 2. I got a lot of good feedback from my talk with Kevin Frankish, and I have much gratitude to Kevin for coming through and just being so open during our talk. Now, this week's episode, in my opinion, is equally amazing, yet it's so different because we pivot into the world of music. My guest is Owen Stahn. Owen's a great lyricist, singer, and all-around musician. He's also in a band called the Slivers. He's also one of my first guests that I've talked to in person. We're in my studio today. He's brought his guitar and he's going to play some original unreleased music. Oh, damn, truck going right by, right while I'm in my flow. Anyway, I'm going to leave it in. He's going to play some original unreleased music and we're going to talk about his songs. Enjoy. What is your musical name when you're out in the world? Do you go by the Slivers?
Good question.
Do you go by Owen? Do you go by Owen Stahn?
I have like all of those. The Slivers is the band that I play in. I have music under Owen Stahn on Spotify, and then I get like self-conscious about some music and I think this is good, but is it what I want to put out in the world? So then I have another pseudonym, which is Vavada.
Really?
Yeah, and I have like a SoundCloud account under Vavada, but I don't upload often enough to any of them to really.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I followed you for a while, and we've been friends for a while, and I've seen your music, especially during COVID. Like I didn't see much, but I would see what you were putting out in COVID. But I never knew you had Vavada. Is that secret? Do you promote that?
No, and that was sort of the whole point, because I get super self-conscious with social media. It's my biggest hurdle in terms of being a musician. So I thought if I can be anonymous and release music, then it doesn't matter as much. Yeah,
that's cool. And but you're not fully anonymous because you're putting out so much on your own as Owen that you're comfortable with. A lot of it I see is you playing live off the floor, straight through. You're playing guitar, you're singing. Yeah,
it's like the only thing that I know how to do efficiently, which is just play and upload. Like recording, I dabble in it and I can sometimes get good recordings, but if I think or work on something too much, I get too in my head, and then a lot of the times ends up like I end up not doing anything with it. So yeah. A good release for me is just to play live onto my phone and then just upload it onto my Instagram. Yeah. And which is not a great place for music. Like I don't think it gets a lot of traction, but it's just it's what I have.
Yeah. I wonder about that. Like if someone likes our musical posts, if they're liking the post because they get a sense of what we're doing, or if they're actually like listening to the full thing. Yeah,
you don't really know. I think there are some. I think like YouTube allows you to look at analytics like that, how much of the song they listen to, and that was a bit discouraging because I have a YouTube channel as well, and I probably have more videos on YouTube of full songs that I've done than any other platform, and I can tell that like not very many people listen to the full thing, which is fine because it's like. If it's not a lot of views anyway, and if you're uploading, like a lot of your friends are going to watch it and like they just go there for the views, see what it's about, and then they take off. So you can't really be too upset about it.
I'm not too mad about it either.
No.
I've checked out the YouTube analytics, and like I had a song like the average listen was 50%, and it like hit me in the heart because everyone's like, I love this, and you're like,
but did you?
Did you?
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, like, I think that's part of the reason why I also wanted to go do some things that were anonymous, because, having a support network of people who are encouraging you, your friends, your family, it's so important to get started. But if those are the only people you're performing to for too long, they obviously will get disinterested, especially if you're not really making huge strides in like your career, and it becomes obvious to them that what you're doing is really just for yourself and just a personal thing, which is I think the case with me. But I think putting myself out anonymously allowed me to feel better. It's like if someone watched it, it's because they had no context about who I am as a person. They don't know my struggles or my performances or anything, and it really just becomes about whatever that content is. So yeah.
Is it like sonically really different from what you do as a solo artist?
Yeah, actually, it's more produced. Like I have a couple of like pop-ier tunes. One that I'm really proud of. Haven't released it yet, but it's more poppy and less singer-songwritery, and yeah.
Like what style of pop? Like, could you compare it to a style, like, or other artist, or?
Well, the one tune that I am releasing right now, I'm trying to remember the artist's name. There's a song called Closer, and I can't remember who it's by because it's just a single. I just like this one tune. I will think of something to compare it to, but I can't. Sure. I haven't actually thought about that.
Well, also, and I could cut this if you don't want to do it, but if you wanted to send me a snippet for the podcast,
absolutely,
to give us a vibe, we can roll through it.
Yeah, I'll give you the whole thing if you want. Yeah.
Nice. We could like maybe add it at the end.
Yeah.
There's a little tail end piece for Vavada.
For sure.
I love Vavada. That sounds like a really cool name.
It also means nothing, which is great.
Yeah, I like that. It's like it's so enigmatic. It's like it's almost just sound. Like
it's just fun to say. Vavada.
Vavada.
Yeah. Yeah.
It almost sounds like blah blah blah, like and Vavada.
Yeah. It's like some Italian like shoo you away. Vavada. Yeah.
I was wondering actually if you'd be up for like playing today.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm happy to do that.
I would love if we like played like here and then talked about the song and like what it was like for you.
For sure.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
All right, let's do a little setup of that.
Okay, cool. Oh, this is so much fun, man. Like this kind of thing usually scares me a little bit.
Sure, I get that.
But I feel very comfortable right now.
Nice.
Yeah. So.
I'm very glad to hear that.
Yeah. So this is it's a song sort of about like how like the strangeness of dreams and how they shift unexpectedly.
Cool.
Wrapped up in a love song. Okay. You should know this. You care the least about your skin than anyone that I've ever been with. And that's not to say you are unclean. In fact, I believe you've got great hygiene. What I mean to say is that your vanity appears to be misplaced. Saved it. Come and take what you need. Call it selfish, call it greed. Yes, I call that love. Ooh, yeah. Speak your mind or ignore me. And once in a while, you can extort me. Yes, I call that love. Ooh, yeah. You are the dream that I pray to reoccur each night. But the thing about dreams is that they warp and shift with such delight. Like the last time we were making love, but we both had cat eyes who turned into a fish. What does that say about my darkest interests? My darkest interests. And if I were in your shoes, I definitely would not choose the man who sits before you. Not that I'm telling you what to do. Come and take what you need. Call it selfish, call it greed. Yes, I call that love. Ooh, yeah. You across the oceans we barely survive. Outside our minds, you should know this. So light of my life, light up my nights. Across the oceans we barely survive. Outside our minds, you should know this. Oh yeah, oh yeah. And it's a miracle at all that I could hold you for a single phone call, and let alone learn enough to know I know nothing at all. And it's a miracle at all that I could hold you for a single phone call, let alone learn enough to know I know nothing at all. You taught me that if I wanted to become someone else and rid myself of all this doubt, I would first have to learn to love myself. I would first have to learn to love myself.
Holy shit, that was amazing. That was great.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
What is that song called?
I don't know. I think like
That's
Dreams.
Also great.
Dreams seems a bit like on the nose. Maybe a little bit vague. Yeah, we'll go with Dreams right now.
So,
Still untitled.
So has it been released?
No, I put it up on YouTube. Like that's one of the ones where I really struggle with recording it because I hear so many parts in my head about it, like and things that I can't do myself. So it means reaching out and finding people who like I want a horn section.
Yeah, sure.
And like I hear it so big in my head, but it's difficult to make that happen. And releasing it just as like as an acoustic tune feels unfinished.
Yeah.
So
unfair to the vision.
Unfair to the vision a little bit. Yeah. But one thing that I struggle with is like I also don't know how to do everything on my own. Like I want to collaborate with people.
For sure.
So, just waiting for that for the right moment, which sounds like a cop out and a lazy excuse, but it really is like recording it is you have to wait for a right moment, I think.
Well, this would be a cool opportunity to like show people the idea, and even talking about the song could help recruit. Yeah. But like hearing you play that, I think it's so full. All the places, like, because you're just one guy and a guitar and it's raw. But like I'm noticing like you're changing like just like the rhythm, like you have it's a dancey rhythm. It doesn't start off dancey, it's all nice, and like you're doing little variations in the guitar playing that I think it's enough as a piece of art. It's enough for what it is for someone to sit and listen to this and this be like their favorite tune.
Well, that's super nice of you to say, and I appreciate that because it does feel like fleshed out in my mind. Yeah. And so to have that heard that's a real compliment. So thank you.
You're welcome. Well, I loved it. It's interesting, like what holds the listener's focus. I was really wrapped up by those opening lines about skin. What are those opening lines again?
So the opening line is, you should know this, you care the least about your skin than anyone that I've ever been with. Which is just a lyric about, well, my girlfriend, who, like, I feel like she's like the least vain person.
Yeah.
I mean, she likes to dress up and she cares a healthy amount, but it's just nice. I don't know. It's so relaxing that she doesn't care too much about that.
It made me think about, like, when I heard that, I started thinking about, like, acne and blemishes and people being really hyper aware. And I think it's such a universal feeling you get from that line, but it's such a it's almost a strange line. It's so unique. It's like you don't hear, it's not a cliche.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, I would definitely won't take credit for the idea of like recognizing someone's humility or lack of vanity. But I think that is the trick, like in songwriting, and appealing to like a wide audience is what helps like make a song relatable. But then if it's too relatable, it feels lazy. It's like you just picked the most like obvious thing that you could say, have it be true, and say you've written a song at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I think the important piece, if you're going to use cliches like that, or if you're going to say something obvious, I think it's important to say it at least in a unique way.
Yeah.
like it's not a unique thing that I said. And, but
it's surprising. It's a surprising opening line.
Yeah,
it's very surprising to me.
Yeah. I think the music helps with that, right? It's like if you can put a melody to it, that's what melody does, is it infers like a feeling onto whatever you say. So if that's in a major key, you should know this, you care the least about your skin. It's very like flighty and like and airy. There isn't like if it was in a minor key, it would feel like negative.
It would feel negative. Yeah.
So that I think it's the marriage of melody and what you're saying.
Yeah, it feels celebratory of your girlfriend, actually, that opening. I guess I that sort of how I feel now, and it makes sense you talking about the major key versus if you did minor, it would be as if there's something wrong with that. Isn't that weird? How just the musical language could really color the lyrics.
Well, this is sort of at the heart of like I wouldn't say it's a theory, it's an opinion about music, and I kind of came up with this, or I thought about this a few years ago, and I do not know if I'm the only one who's thought this. I don't want to take credit for the idea, but I had this idea that music might be one of the most pure art forms in there, in the sense that it's direct and it's immediate. And I don't mean to say it's a better art form than film or books or painting. What I mean to say is that with those other mediums, like you need context you usually need context to have a resonant emotion happen somewhere down the line. It's like you understand like the story of the backstory of a character, and so when something bad happens to him, you feel for him. Yeah. Or even with a painting, like having some knowledge of the history of the painting, or anyway, it takes time. Whereas music is immediate. Yeah, right? It's like you can play just a couple of notes and create emotion if you do it well. Yeah, for sure. Not saying that I'm doing it well. I think that's why I like music so much, is because it's so like, bam, like feel this emotion, feel it right now.
Absolutely. And I love that people that listen almost become part of the band, but physically through dance or sonically through singing. Mm-hmm. You kind of want to hum. You might even want to become the person you're listening to. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you kind of like, that's one of my favorite things about music, is for whatever reason you have this tendency to want to emulate. Mm-hmm. You might want to do that with a movie with your favorite character. You see people recite scenes, but more likely I see people talk about how they sing in the shower and pretend that they're
it becomes a part of your life. It becomes a part of your story, and other arts definitely have the ability to do that. Like people identify as loving Harry Potter and how much it like affected them.
Yeah,
but
you can't work out to Harry Potter.
It's difficult.
Yeah. You can't get hyped up. Let me read this chapter.
Yes. Yeah. So it's and honestly, that is why I started writing music in the first place, is to put feeling to thoughts that I had already had. Yeah. Like back in high school when I started like writing songs, and it was like, this is a diary. This is how I feel right now, and only a melody can explain it.
I was hoping we could jump into another song.
Sure.
What would be a song you'd want to play?
It's a great question. I really only had planned on
One song.
Well, no, that it just depends, really. Okay, I just want to make sure that I don't mess up these chords, because there's always one part of this song that I always get wrong when I play it for the first time in a while. So let me just try to figure it out. She dove into the water, nowhere inside her lungs. A potter's daughter, but she emerged a setting sun. This town is a relic. Its streets hold you tight like a set of hands, won't let you forget it. Good memories and the bad. And she's trying to get to heaven in a hurricane, reconnect with her high school flame, be the queen on the television screen, and the spark in the gasoline. Yeah. Building an empire, a castle in the sand, because she feels inspired by great works, the plague of man. She's never too angry, oh no, and always just on time. She's got some secrets tucked away in a paradigm, and she's trying to get to heaven via rock and roll, playing her cards and she never folds, drinks too much at the Colonel in Arms, and stumbles out to her car. Yeah. Starting to crack in her heart of hearts, in her daddy's core. It's just not fair to be here when you only appear in the backseat in my rear view mirror. We got through.
That was amazing.
We got through it.
Holy shit. That's a beautiful song. That's a very emotional song. I felt like weeping, to be real. I didn't weep.
That's right. I'm glad. I'm
kept it in.
I'm glad you felt that way.
Didn't let myself get there. But but it's powerful enough that it opens up like a sadness inside me, and I don't even quite know what it's about. But even some of the lyrics, like the cracks in the paint of the Cadillac, like the cracks in her heart. What was that line?
And just like the paint on the Cadillac, I swear I can see she's starting to crack in her heart of hearts.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Who is that written about? You don't have to be specific if it's personal. Too personal.
Like that whole song is not about any one person, but more of like multiple people almost projected into one person. So that particular line, I think, is actually about a girlfriend that I had in high school.
Yeah.
It's sort of this idea that like how painful the past can be, and looking backwards is like, it's nice to reflect sometimes, but it doesn't necessarily point you in the right direction. And I think that's kind of what that song is mostly about. It's just reflection.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cool that you can take from different feelings, and it could be someone from the past, someone from the present, and you can kind of meld it together, and it can still be true and resonate as one thing. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, that's just concepts, right?
Yeah,
it's like you detach the concept from the physical thing or person and just try to think about it, more conceptually.
Do you think you're like reporting? You're almost like a reporter for your heart, because it's like it's all true shit, and this is a new concept. It's its own concept, but it's coming from true. It doesn't seem at all cheesy. There's nothing. It's completely sincere.
Wow. Thank you.
And I wonder, you're welcome. And I wonder if that comes from, it's all true and real. But I wonder if you were to make up a song about a character that doesn't exist, that was just from imagination, do you think it would hit as hard?
I have done that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have done that. And I can't tell you if it would hit as hard or not. But I do like the song.
Cool. Okay.
I wrote this one song about I kind of dabbled. I wish I could remember it. It would be way too much. I wish I need lyrics for it, because there's a lot of lyrics.
Sure.
Unfortunately, I don't think I could play it.
That's okay.
But the concept is it's one of the only duets that I've ever written, and it's about a miner who leaves his family to go pursue the gold rush. Interesting. And just the struggle of like trying to keep a relationship alive in the pursuit of like providing for a family that, other than just letters that he receives from them, doesn't exist, and gets further and further detached from them, and then becomes obsessed about gold. And wow. And that was sort of like an experiment of like dipping into that old type of folk storytelling. Which is like old folk and country songs told really poignant stories like that, which
like specific I don't think
tales. Yeah, very really specific. Yeah, exactly. Like the Marty Robinson out in the West Texas town of El Paso.
Oh, that's him?
Marty Robinson. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
And I always love that kind of storytelling, although it doesn't really feel like it has a place in today's like pop culture.
I think it does in well, maybe not actually. Yeah, maybe not in today's culture. I'd say definitely in like 90s rap, 90s, early 2000s rap.
Yeah, maybe
storytellers.
Maybe that is the closest thing that we have
very
to
specific,
old folk stuff. Is it get that? You're probably right about that. I mean, just admittedly, I'm going to throw my hand up here and say I know very little about the hip hop world. I've tried so hard, and don't get me wrong, there are songs that I like. There are definitely like I love Kendrick Lamar. I think he's awesome, but I like him, and admittedly on a bit of a superficial level, because like King Kunta is just one hell of a banger. Oh yeah, it's such a great tune, and like I try to get into it, and I have listened to that whole record, but not as much of it like hits and resonates with me. But I have tried. Yeah. But yeah, I think you are right. Is that probably is the closest we have. Yeah. In today's culture is 90s hip hop. Maybe even a little bit of hip hop, more like modern hip hop today. Yeah.
You're right. Kendrick, I could see storytelling, but I think a lot of the more like the mumble rap or more melodic rap, a lot of the rap now is essentially more melodic, less lyrical. No knock on that, but I don't see as much storytelling as like.
Which is interesting, because that's kind of the hip hop that I get into. Like I really love melody.
I think it's an evolution of the genre, actually. A lot of like purists criticize it because it's not lyrical enough, but I think it's an evolution.
I mean, just for, like, I know, like I said,
because it's just expanding. It's just going in different directions.
Yeah, why not?
All music does it. Rock does it. And
exactly. Yeah, and if the goal is to make that genre more accessible, then you have to expand.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. That's like, it's almost by definition.
Also, I think like a creative mind needs variation after a certain point, and it needs evolution and progress. And like there's certain genres that are the fans are so conservative because like they don't want anything different. Like certain genres, you see it in hip hop. I that's the one that I know the most, but you see the purists in hip hop sometimes that just want like New York 90s boom bap style, and everything else is crap. But it's like
Yeah.
It just seems like a very limited box to put yourself in.
That's how I feel about people who like my dad. Like he likes like classic rock.
Yeah,
And it's like
yeah.
it's not so much about the substance. It's more of like that nostalgic feeling that he gets when he listens to it of being 30.
Yeah.
You know, again, and or maybe even younger. Like, and not to say that there's only one way to listen to music. If that's what he listens to music for, that's fine. It doesn't. It's like, okay, you're going to listen to that same song again and again. Then if that's what you want.
That's a good point. It's like, you're right. There's no real one right way to listen to music, and it's meant to serve. So it's like, how does it serve you? You know?
Yeah.
I just want to take this time to say, if you're enjoying the episode and you want to hear more from Owen, you can check him out on YouTube under Owen Stahn. That's Stahn. He also has a single on Spotify called The Cautious Side, or you can check his band out, The Slivers. They're on Spotify too. I really like their EP, Girlfriends.
Do you remember the first song you ever wrote?
No, I don't.
Is that true, or you just don't want to?
No, I seriously don't. I can't remember a song that I wrote like last week sometimes. Like I've always been a person to like sort of move on and forget. Very rarely do I go back and listen to old songs and think they're awesome. Sometimes, you know, and there'll be elements of them where I think it's like, oh, that was a cool thing to do. I had a girlfriend in high school. She was an amazing songwriter. She still is an amazing songwriter. She still plays. And we would always write songs and show them to each other. It didn't feel like it was for anyone else but ourselves, which was awesome. So it almost became like a who could write the better song.
Nice.
And it would happen like almost on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. We'd be like, hey, like what do you think of this?
It was the healthiest form of competition ever.
It was pretty awesome. Yeah. And she always smoked me, like her singing and vocals and her lyrics. She was so profound in grade 12. I mean, maybe I'm just remembering it like that. I mean, I want to give her as much credit as I can, but I just remember being like, well, that's the best one. But it was great. Yeah.
How many songs do you think you've written in your life?
I mean, I have ideas all the time. I think there's probably about 50 mostly finished or completely finished songs that I've written.
Yeah. I
probably remember only like 25 of them. And then there's probably hundreds of ones that have been started and never finished.
For sure.
Yeah.
Does that include the Slivers songs?
Yeah, the Slivers is because my scope in working professionally in the industry is actually quite small. Like, that was the most professional like project that I ever worked on, and it still seemed like I'm just hanging out with my buds. Mm-hmm. But we got farther together than I think any of us have gotten apart or separate. Not that we're broken up, it's just a huge hiatus or anything.
Yeah. You guys are all still friends, right?
Oh yeah. We're just spread out. Like our bass player Griff, he's in Halifax. Our drummer is in Victoria. Yeah. And I work with Larry in Peterborough. But yeah, that was a great exercise working with, because Griffin and I wrote the songs mostly together, and they're some of the best songs or most completed songs that I feel I've written, and what's great about that is that I'm not responsible for it all. Like our best songs are ones where we like really listened to each other and took the song where it needed to go. Yeah.
Do you think in a way of like when you're playing with Griff, do you guys have like a verse, chorus, bridge, chorus type of structure? Is there sort of like a game plan? It
sort of became that. Like, I was thinking about this on the way down, and our writing became a little less complicated as we got on, and I think that's for a very specific reason, which is we never had a lot of time to practice, because Dylan lived in Peterborough and we were in Toronto, and that's about an hour and a half away. And then by the end of, sort of towards the end of our time playing together in Toronto, our guitar player also moved back to Peterborough. So there was 2 of us in Toronto and 2 of us in Peterborough. And we really only practiced when we had a show coming up. So we were practicing songs that we already knew, and then any additional writing had to happen really quick. So we wrote more poppy, I would say radio-friendly songs, because we had less time. It was like you knew the structure of the song. We wanted to create a moment. It was for a show. We were also thinking of recording. It sounds lazy. It sounds like what's the easiest thing to do, but really it was just a product of like our situation.
Yeah.
And I mean, I really love those songs. I don't think they're like the most amazing or profound, even songs that we have written in the past. Like I think there's more complex and more honesty in some of the earlier stuff, but it was fun and it was a moment. We were just trying to play as much as we could and be good. So I think if we had a bit more time together, then those songs would have come out differently. But yes, sorry, to answer your question, towards the end it was more structured and less experimental. Yeah, which I'm not no judgment at all.
Yeah,
some people might say that's lazy, but I say fuck them.
Yeah, like it's weird, right? Like like from them being simple, there's probably some satisfying aspects to that as a song.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we I think towards the end with the Slivers, I keep saying the end, like it's not over, it's just we have no idea when we're going to do it again.
Yeah.
Our time in Toronto, I think we played our last show in 2019 or 2018. I think 2018. Mm-hmm. We had just released a record that we were working on forever, for probably 5 years, and it was so annoying.
What was the holdup? Why 5 years?
Money, man, and also lack of experience. Like we had such a huge ambition. We had this concept album, and it's on Spotify. You can listen to it. It's one of the only things we've released. And this is what I mean, to go back to our earlier stuff. Like it was more conceptual. The songs were less obvious. But it was hard as hell to do because it was our first record. We were trying to be as like anal about songs as possible. We re-recorded songs like 3 or 4 times. And again, it was still the same situation. Like we only recorded once every couple of months. Yeah. And so in that time, we would come up with a new idea. We'd have to go back and re-record something, or we would listen to something back and be like, you were flat here. I think we should have, a little instrumental here. And it just took forever. Not to mention money. Like we didn't have any grants. Griff and I pretty much paid out of pocket for it. I think it cost us I don't know, not to bring money into this, but it was couple $1,000 at the end of it, and we didn't see any of that back really. And we're both working like I was working a minimum wage job, trying to live in Toronto. It was expensive. I didn't have a lot of disposable income to throw at this thing, and that kind of took some wind out of our sails, because and this is what I mean, it's like when after that was finished, I was like, I'm not very happy with it. I like the songs, and there are certain songs that I go back and listen to and I think, yes, like good job, we nailed that one. But for the most part, it feels like we talked about it a lot and it didn't live up to at least my expectations. Yeah. And that's just me being honest. I don't, it felt too, it was too big of a piece to chew.
Yeah, I get that. I get that.
Yeah, which is so we sort of swung into the opposite direction. We started being like, okay, let's try to go back to basics and write simpler songs, but get them recorded. One thing that we changed because we have 2 things released. We have that first record.
What's it called?
It's called Feathers and Fangs. And it's this concept record about a cowboy vampire. It's pretty funny.
That's cool.
Yeah, and then we went completely opposite direction. We did more pop music and pop rock, and it was like those recordings are far better because we didn't multi-track. We recorded live off the floor.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, for all 4 of the songs.
What's that album called?
It's called Girlfriends. And it's sort of conceptual too, honestly. Like that was more of an accident, really.
How so?
Well, the songs, I wouldn't say that they're similar in subject matter, but there's one song at the beginning that sort of what's that called? It's like foreshadows what the other three songs are about, and it was a total accident. I just totally like just listened to it and I was like, oh, that first verse is kind of like the first song, and that second verse is sort of says what the second song says, and that third verse is, it could be thought of like so it was, it kind of tied itself together on its own.
That's so cool how sometimes we don't know where a song comes from, and it's almost like there's a subconscious like illustrator drawing up this whole album, and you step back from the illustration after and you're like, oh my God, I recorded this music, but now there's this whole message, there's this whole vision in this album that I didn't even see.
Yeah. And that's I mean, I think that you could take that whole concept and expand it onto a wider scale of just like perspective, like having having someone in your corner who sees potential in you that you don't even see. Yeah. It's like how invaluable that is. So it's like, that's why you can't judge what you put out. Like I know that I don't, like those songs don't resonate with me as they did when I was writing them, but it's out there. I'm not judging it.
Yeah.
Like someone else can infer whatever they want onto it now.
Yeah. And they could love it. You could be done with it. You're on to the next, but they could love it.
Exactly.
You know? Yeah. I mean, how often do we listen to our favorite artists and we're listening to stuff they put out in 2000, let's say, or whatever?
That's all. I've actually, I always go back. Oh man, I'm such a hard person to get to like new music. Not like anything, but like things that are coming out right now. Like give me 10 years and I'm gonna, I'm gonna like really love it.
Oh yeah. Sometimes a new album for me is like, it feels like it's just released yesterday and they're like, that came out 10 years ago.
I know. Yeah, it happens all the time. Yeah.
I've recently been, I think we were talking about this a bit before, but I recently I'm really into hip hop, and I started listening to like the Wu-Tang discography, and they were a big collective. So basically 9 artists that had a group album, and then like 4 of them had solo albums. And like one thing I really like is not only absorbing all the music from that era, but doing it in the chronology that it was released. And then once you really absorb the music, I love knowing about the stories of the music. What was recording? Who had beef back at that point? Like, why did this producer kind of like fall off with their style? And I mean, that's one reason why I wanted to do these type of interviews with musicians. It's like, I want to hear the raw recordings that people are passionate about, and then I want to hear the stories behind them. Because I find, like, let's say someone consumes your music, right? They see I was telling you this before. They see the live show, they hear your album, they hear your EP, and then they hear an interview. And in the interview, they hear you play, and then you talk about the same song that they've heard live differently, on record differently. And I just think the interview is such an interesting place too, because then it's almost like an EP in itself, but like you're not just listening to the song, you're also kind of listening to the thoughts. Like, I don't know about you, but like I love sometimes watching the interview more than the actual art. Like Hendrix interviews, he has one where he plays 12-bar blues, some rendition on acoustic, and then he's just kind of talking, and he's these kind of vulnerable moments, and I'm like, the way he's talking, he's like, oh, can we do it again there? Oh, I messed up. Like, this is the greatest guitarist ever. Watching him kill it, watching him screw up, watching him get self-conscious, and then doing it again and killing it.
Well, totally. I fully. Sometimes the person is more interesting than their music, and that is fine. And not to say, not to say that about Hendrix. Like, obviously his music is amazing, but it's true. It's like, and I think we were talking about this sort of off mic, which is like, this opens up such a big conversation for me in my relationship to the industry, but it's marrying the idea of creativity and then also storytelling outside of music. Like who is the artist and what are they about? Who do they stand for? Like any business model right now, like online, that's a huge thing, is like telling people your story. If you want to sell beer, if you want to sell whatever, shoes, like it's like, if you're a mom and pop store, even the big guys, like they'll have like a mandate. It's like, what are they about? Who are they? And I think that is very important.
Even how they dress, even down to how they dress.
For sure.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Fashion is so widely intertwined with with music that, and it has been for so long, that like, this is something that I didn't understand at the beginning. I was like,
Me neither.
Like you had like, I had such bad fashion sense. I still do.
Yeah, me too. And I would just be like, whatever, it doesn't matter. But
Yeah,
I
but
remember when I was a kid, like watching a group that I loved, like the jackets they wore, I didn't realize at the time, but that was cool. Like
It's
how
a
they looked and the whole thing.
It's the story, like it's the story of the culture, right? Like when you're an artist, I feel like you have like a discrepancy that I have is being like fully understood as like a human being and realizing that music only satisfies like a portion of who I am, and being able to like communicate who I am in its entirety through the medium of music for me is almost impossible. Some people are able to do it. Like Father John Misty, I feel like does a really good job of like being honest and open about his struggles. Of course, there's things that we don't know, but like you get a pretty good sense of who he is as a person through his music.
Yeah.
And I've always been scared of like being like and I am scared. Like it is actually a fear for sure of being viewed like unidimensionally, like just like only one or two sides of me. And anyway, I think as an artist, in the bigger scheme of things, it's like you are telling the story of the world, right? Like you tell your corner of what you know.
Yeah.
And in 10 years, and this is why I think I relate with music that's 10 years older, is because I have a broader context of what's going on in the world at the time. It's like it's happened. You can be like, oh, that's what was going on. Right now, you're in the middle of it. You're like, what the hell is going on?
Totally. And
being able to see like Hendrix, like how much of an influence he was and how big he got, how different his music was. And then at the same time, still realizing he had like self-conscious issues like the rest of us.
Yeah. So I think we're almost out of time because I do got to do that audition. We have about 10 or so minutes.
Wow. Just flies.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Dude, like you're welcome anytime. Like I like having multiple, like a guest come multiple times to just talk music, talk whatever. So like I totally extend the door to that.
I would love to come back.
Nice.
That's great. Yeah.
In terms of wrapping up, did you want to finish with the song? Do you want to finish with a word of wisdom? Or do you just want to say,
Well, I don't know if I can just pull out words of wisdom.
That's a lot of pressure.
That would be nice if I could just do that. But I could probably play another song.
I would love that.
But which?
That's the question. That is the question.
Okay. This one does have a title.
Okay. What's it called?
It's called The Garden.
Cool.
And it's a song that the Slivers never got to record. So we wanted to get this one done. Hopefully we will in the future. But at the moment it just exists in this form right now.
Oh, awesome.
So lights came on, you were grooving, dancing silently to no beat. Thought long and hard about intruding, but then you interrupted me. Why do I get so disheartened? It was just a kiss upon my cheek. I followed you into the garden. Colors and sounds surrounded me. Why do I get so dramatic? You just need a have a baby. But could you handle such a child when you yourself are still a baby? And growing up just ain't your style. You proved my point when you got angry. You said we wanted different lives, always talking about my money. Not with your mouth, but with your eyes. And now I need you to be near me. I know it sounds absurd. Now I need you to be near and speak all those words. Well, now you have a baby.
Wow.
Yeah,
That was fucking amazing.
thank you. I don't know. It feels weird to play without the rest of the guys because it's like, again, one of those things where you like hear the whole thing in your head.
That was amazing, dude.
I appreciate it.
I'd love to talk about that and more.
Mm-hmm.
And again, have you back.
Well, Will, this is awesome what you're doing, and yeah, just having just an honest conversation about like some chum who likes to write songs. It's really nice to have an audience. So appreciate it, man.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Peace.
Well, that's the show. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed that talk with Owen Stahn. And if you enjoyed it, like, comment, and subscribe on whatever platform you're hearing this on. You can also stay up to date with the pod by following me on Instagram at CreateUpPodcast. Now I'm going to leave you with one final song from Owen. This is from the secret stash of his tunes. This is Va Va Da. It's called Proof of Concept. Thanks, everybody. Enjoy.